The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Hello viewer, welcome to Chungu cha Jamii. I'm your host Eunice Mugo. Today on the show we are going to talk about drugs and substance abuse. What is drug and substance abuse? Do you have someone who is being affected and having an issue to overcome it as a challenge? Send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. I'm not alone. I have guests with me who are going to help us to understand better on where we went wrong and how to overcome this as a challenge. I will allow them to introduce themselves. Welcome, guests. Starting with you, the lady.
Thank you, Eunice. My name is Catherine Mwati. Catherine works as a psychologist and more in the areas of family support and also the area of addiction counseling. My day-to-day work entails working with those who are struggling with substance use. Yes.
Welcome on the show, Madam Catherine.
Thank you.
To you.
Thank you very much, Eunice. My name is Benjamin Mudoka, a specialist in mind education, a preacher, and a businessman.
Welcome on the show, Mr. Benjamin.
Thank you.
To kickstart with, drug and substance abuse. Madam, to start with you, you've mentioned that your day-to-day life entails dealing with people who are struggling with drug and substance abuse. Maybe start by telling us what is drug and substance abuse and why is it abused in the first place?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that question. When we talk of drugs, drugs can be a whole range, but because they are pharmacological drugs, they are the illicit drugs, and I believe what we are talking about today is about the illicit drugs, which are mind altering, and when somebody uses these substances, what do? They change the structure of the brain and how this affects how somebody thinks, makes decisions, and even the behavior. It also affects how we relate with others. And basically what drugs do, they start affecting our day-to-day work or the way we live. So anything which alters your mood, and it's not a drug prescribed by the doctors, you can put it in this category. Okay, the many drugs known is the alcohol, mera, bangi or marijuana. All these drugs go with different names depending with the community. So all these drugs, there are some people who find themselves there using because they want to adventure. And when it comes to adventuring, there are those who adventure and they come out of it. Depending with the feeling or the impact it you have on them, there are those who feel, no, I would not want to be in this area, and they just stop using. There are those who go to the next level of using. Why? Because it gives them a good feeling. And because they want to keep on getting the good feeling, they keep on using. One thing the drugs does is when you take it, it makes your body produce a lot of what we call dopamine. These are for those who did biology, these are neurotransmitters which make you and I excited. So with that, if I want that excitement day in, day out, there will be that high tendency to use. Yes, so for those, there are those who use or who keep there because of the feeling they get. Others use drugs because of the peer pressure. They want to fit in. They don't want to be seen like they are naive, despite of the impact it's having on them. There are those also who use drugs because it gives them some relief and comfort. Allow me to say that there are people who struggle with mental health disorders, which they are not aware of. and even the family is not aware of them. So what happens? These people get some discomfort. And when they take the substance, even if it's drugs, the alcohol or marijuana or whichever drug, it gives them a relief and a calmness. So what happens? If this person is not treated or diagnosed the condition, the underlying mental health condition, and treated, there will be a very high tendency of them to keep using the drug because they are self-regulating. And maybe this is an area where, as families, because you have asked why, we might need to be very keen, especially with our teenagers. And somebody gets to teenage and they start developing, the changes, that increase of hormones production, it causes them some other discomfort. And there are those you might realize they start struggling with sleep. They have challenges sleeping at night. They have challenges concentrating, and more often than not, you find parents fight with their teenagers, their moods. And this child is going through struggle. So more often than not, you find, let me talk of the African parents we are. If a child comes and tells me, "Mommy, I'm not sleeping," what will be the next reaction? What are you disturbed about? The struggle should be me because it's me who is paying the school fees, not you. Can you study? But we don't take time to find out what is happening in their world. So in this case, if this child is not supported, then he or she goes to the peers and they share of their struggle and they are told, so and so, we have it here. Then he or she gets a puff of the marijuana, and you keep them calm, they will fight sleep. So unless you offer a solution, that child or that young teenager, there are very high chances that they will remain in the use till they get a solution.
Wow.
Yes.
Coming to you, Mr. Benjamin, where did we go wrong? Where does all this start from? So that one can say, we point fingers saying this is an addict, this one is a drug abuse. And also as parents, we tend to tell our children, don't walk with Benjamin because he or she is not, say, of good influence to you. What is it that pushes us to that extent from the mind lecture or the mind education perspective?
Number one, I would want to talk about mind education. So for mind education, basically mind education is like a blueprint. And a blueprint is just like a mere drawing on paper. For a construction to stand, a building to stand, you need to have the blueprint, which means the architectural drawing. And then for human beings, we have the blueprint of our heart. And depending on the kind of drawing that is in your heart, your life will be magnified. So one of the things that I know is that for human beings, even when they are born with a certain defect that originated from their foreparents, which is Adam and Eve. But then from there, most of the people, because they do not know exactly what kind of people they are, they don't know the world of their heart. Because for example, if I may ask you, we are not talking about the heart, which is the organ that pumps our blood, but we are talking about the mind. Where is the mind? Where is the heart? This is a secret that God hid from human beings. They cannot tell where their real mind, where they produce all the things that they, the world that they're living. But because of this, that's why I'm talking about the blueprint. Once a person realizes, if, for example, there was a problem on the drawing, it is more easier to correct that on the piece of paper than when the building is standing. So most of the time, especially what I do and what I'm dealing with, because I deal with many of the young people, and apart from the drugs, everybody, even Eunice, is an addict of something. Everybody is an addict of something. And because of that, that's why we need to go back and see from the blueprint of our hearts, what is the problem? The problem will not start because I'm using drugs. The problem does not start when you start now meeting with your peer groups and friends. It is simply a problem that originated from within you. And because of that, that's why I think many people will need to know exactly where their problem started. And their problem started from the beginning, the creation itself. You know, when God created man, he did not create man so that man would live an evil life. But when God created man, number one, he created man in his own image, which means this man was having that godly perspective in him, or the aspects that are spiritual in him. But the problem is, from, I don't know where it all started from. We have so many religions, and everybody is teaching their people, you have to walk, this is the right way, this is the right way, this is the right way. But the pillar of everything is God. But now, does it mean that everyone who speaks about God, they really know who God is? In fact, most of these people who fall into drugs, to some extent, they reached a point that they never wanted to listen to anything spiritual or anything to do with religion. Because I'm happy because my friend spoke about major things. Number one, I'm so thankful because I really want to do research. I always want to do research. So as she's speaking, I'm getting many things. But now the problem is, yes, these people who are fallen into drugs, do you think they really know why they got into drugs? Do you think most of the people can tell you why they enjoy the drugs? Do you think it's easy for them to say, yes, I can come out of this? They try, yes, but they still find themselves going back. So which is the problem? What is the problem there? It is simply because, you know, if I go to the hospital and then I'm sick, I have typhoid, but the doctor does not know whether I have typhoid, they give me drugs for malaria, then I'll get worse, simply because they never dealt with the problem that I have. So most of the people, yes, they have these problems, but nobody has ever touched the real cause of that problem.
Coming to you, Madam Catherine, maybe picking from what Mr. Benjamin has said, getting to know the root cause, getting to know, why am I here? Why am I doing this? You've mentioned the spirit of adventure, which happens to a lot of young people simply because of also peer pressure. I'm seeing my friend taking a cigarette. I want to be a cool kid like he or she is. I'm seeing them taking a glass of wine. I want to be like them. Wanting to fit in, that is basically what we are saying. And now, not understanding maybe me, I'm taking it to be cool and fitting in, but the other person is taking because of maybe the rough time they're facing in the family, or maybe was introduced by their parents or someone related to them. How do you talk to them when they come to you as a psychologist and getting to understand them better? What do they say? Why did I start this? Where are they coming from for them to find themselves, I'm here, I'm stuck, and now I need help?
That's a very good question, Eunice. Because one of the things which happen There are those who reach a point where they realize, I'm in trouble and I need help. There are those also who don't realize their trouble, but the family or somebody else is seeing it, and they feel something needs to be done. Coming to what my brother here, Benjamin, has shared, there is so much about the human nature, their soul, and their craving of what they know what will make them feel happy. There are those who, in the process of adventuring, when they get in, they realize, this is not my path. And even if it's parents or peers who are with them, they start realizing, no, I'm not finding joy or excitement with what I'm using. So the best thing is to leave the entire thing of using. There are those, when they get the feeling, as Adaria said, they know this is the path to take. So whether with a parent or not, or even with the peers, they go deep and deep. Allow me to say, there are people who will be in usage, substance use, or basically what we call addiction, because of different things. And coming to what Benjamin has shared, there are those who are in that space because of their blueprint. They are genetically predisposed. When you and I were born, and the biology or the sciences tell us about the chromosomes which your mother, your father, gave. God created us, but through creation, these people, their procreation. And if there is a genetic charge of addiction, diabetes, all these, we inherit these genes. So what happens to this family or this person who is genetically predisposed and not aware? They will go and adventure with their friends. Unfortunately, they are not able to come out of it. Why? Because they have an inbuilt system which craves for the drug. The gene behind it is called A1 area gene. And it's unfortunate that the same gene behind addiction is the same gene behind intelligence. And all of us want bright kids. As a parent, I feel very proud when every time I'm being called in school, my child is #1, receiving all the gifts and all that. Sure. So, but nobody tells us this challenge called addiction is behind, is under the same gene. For those who have this gene, they have 60% inbuilt. Okay, for you and I to become an addict, we need to be at 100%. So the other 40% is contributed now by the social. This is about our interactions, the family, and family contributes a lot. Maybe I want to go with my child, and maybe the parent is using, and they go and expose the child to, or the young person to, the substances. Maybe it's also even in the family where some put the drinks in the fridge. There are those who do very nice houses and you realize in that house there is a bar. So what happens? What am I telling my children? It's good to use the substance, you see? And maybe we think it's, allow me to say this, Eunice, we might be feeling like we want to be found like we are on top of, the families which are doing well. But it's unfortunate because this now starts at one point to become our own undoing when the child gets into it. Others are there because they also have what we call psychological problems, underlying mental health conditions which are not diagnosed and treated. For example, people who struggle with mood disorders. Somebody might be feeling a condition like bipolar. Somebody wakes up and they feel they are very low, they don't want anything, and they are, it's like they are flat. They need something to up their mood. So what happens? They go for the drink which excites them. Their mood is upped, and there they go. They feel good. Coming to what he also said, there is a bit of spirituality. All of us in this life look for meaning. What is my purpose here? So if I don't know my purpose, or if I'm not finding it, and it's clogged with so many things, that space before I get to know the reason as to why I'm here, there is a tendency to try many other things. And some of the people fill this void with the substance use. So coming now to where the parents and the family comes in is, if from the word go, we are able to identify the struggles our children are going through from a young age, we become close and we are in a place to help them. When my child comes and tells me I'm not able to concentrate in school, do I take time to speak to them and find out what are you going through? If I find my teenage, who we used to sit down and chat, and now they have become very moody, they have kept space, they don't want to interact with anybody in the house, they're in the bedroom, do I continue to label them the way the communities or the families say? No, with a teenage, they are like that, they are moody. Do I sit to find out what is happening in their world? Because only then will I be able to engage and get a way of penetrating their world. And when I know what is happening, now as the adult here, I'm able to support. If I'm not in a position to support, I can find out from the professionals and have this child helped.
Interesting. I'd want us to take a short break, but when we come back, I'd want to hear your perspective as a mind specialist, where you get to tell us, like what Madam has mentioned of the disorder, from a mind perspective, and also from your perspectives as a psychology. Do we know that we have this kind of genes, and can the genes be manipulated? I'd want to hear from you if the genes can be manipulated, and also from the mind perspective, because we are made of what we get to learn and what we surround ourselves with. If it can be manipulated, is it something that we can train our mind and heart on the same? This is what I'd want us to continue talking when we come back after the break. Viewer, I hope you're interacting with us. I hope you're following and getting to send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. We'll be back shortly.